If you miss the tax deadline, Javis Tax Service can help. There are certain circumstances that allow for a tax extension without additional fees. We can let you know if you qualify for this service. If you still need to file, we can get the paperwork in quickly and ensure that all fees or penalties are met. It's better to file late taxes than not file at all to avoid garnishments. Use Javis Tax Service to help get your taxes filed quickly and correctly. For more information to set up a free consultation, call Javis Tax Service at 803-851-7112. That's 851-7112.
Everybody know how to find it on Facebook Live?
Yeah. I posted it on my page too, so.
Good.
Word.
Cool.
Word. Do.
Oh, is the audio live?
It may be. Is it still on commercial?
Doo. Yep, it's live.
Audio live.
What's going on, Facebook family? Go ahead and invite your followers, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to Urban City Radio.
Yep. Do they see us?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
good.
They probably do.
There we go. Facebook Live. What's happening? Another beautiful Wednesday night. Thank you for rocking with us. iHeartRadio, what's going on? Periscope, YouTube, Freethinkers Radio app. Chris Darnell got his phone up.
They gonna get you. We gonna get you today.
Oh yeah, and we clown, obviously. You know?
Free flowing conversation.
Yeah.
My phone's still up.
Whose phone is still up? It ain't him. Ain't me.
Not me.
What's up, Kev?
Robin.
Yo, Kev, what up? Is that your phone, Danny?
Nah.
You sure? Yeah.
He
look like it's his phone too. That's the thing. He look guilty.
Oh yeah.
You won't get me to say I'm guilty.
Oh man. Yeah, let's go. Through all the blood that I shed on the tree. He said we're a generic good time.
Go to the comments.
Wow. Raspberry, that's
I was kind of messed up. I ain't gonna lie.
That's raspberry.
That's dirty.
Oh man. And what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Will, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Urban City Radio, where we bring the sounds of boots on the ground.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ice.
What's going on? Yes, you got AC the Future. Man.
I'm sorry, I just gotta point this out. He don't look like Ice though.
Yeah, he don't look like Ice at all.
Silly man. It's me.
Face for radio. All right, we gotta. I want to use litany again.
A litany?
A litany. I gotta look it up to make sure I'm saying the right word. But yeah, we got a lot of special guests in the building. Yo, go start right here on my right, going down. Just go ahead and tell the people your names.
Oh, you got Chris Darnell,
and Danny Diesel,
Kimani Casino Davis,
Tina Torres,
Andre Delane.
Yeah. Yo,
that boy been saying.
We got a dope show for you, man. Tonight we are talking about raising boys to men. But let me tell you why we do this show. We believe there is a resurgence of believers being called back to the city to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we want to highlight the usage of Christian hip-hop in urban ministry and urban missions. Boot up.
All right, when we come back from break, we will be talking with each of the guests, give them time to tell you what exactly they do, and we'll get into the topic of the show. This is Urban City Radio, where we bring you the sounds of boots on the ground. Boot up.
Boot up.
And we're about to play our feature song of the night. The brand new single. I need everybody to go buy this.
Pre-order.
Oh yeah.
Now available.
What's the name of the song?
Good Enough, featuring Andre Delane.
Good Enough. Chris Darnell. Good Enough, featuring Andre Delane.
He did sound like Batman.
Bomb. I just invite Chris. Chris sit right next to me. If you get an invite, just ignore it.
Yeah, it popped up too, man.
Can't hear it. Somebody said they can't hear it.
They can't hear it?
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm assuming my big cuz. What's going on, cuz? That looks like that could be my cousin.
It could be. They asked how to pre-order.
They asked how do we pre-order.
Darnell. Chris Darnell, how do you pre-order?
Hey, go to iTunes or Amazon, man, and type in "Good Enough" Chris Darnell featuring Andre Delane, and you'll find it there.
And there should be a pre-order button. So
You would click the pre-order button. Yeah, that too, man.
And you need money in your account.
Yeah, 99 cents, man. I mean, if you ain't got that, then
there is money involved in pre-order. What's going on, D. Austin Davis? I messed up.
That's Derek, man.
Aston.
I know who it is. There you go.
Okay, we're back, Urban City Radio. Hey, man, we have a great show lined up talking about bringing boys to men, but we want to get everyone to introduce themselves, tell them what you do.
Yeah, start with Mr. Chris Darnell himself. Go ahead and tell everybody not just who you are, but what it is you do. And we're going to go down the line before we start the show.
All right, my name is Chris Darnell. I'm a lyrical evangelist. I really evangelize lyrically, man, and I take my music to really proclaim the gospel, man, and just go out and hit these streets, man. That's what I do. I love Christ. I love ministry, man.
Word.
All right, so my name is Danny McCray. I go by Danny Diesel, and I work in financial services. I show people how to make and save money, and I mentor kids from age 5 to 18. Get on what I didn't have.
All right. My name is Kimani Davis. People call me Casino.
Casino.
Old music career. And I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called Why Not You Too. And we do job and life skill development for disadvantaged job seekers. We also do early childhood intervention and youth and young adult mentoring. Pretty much just instilling in the youth a different way to go about success. And, I'm out here. Boot up.
Word.
That's it. Andre. Oh, no, Tina.
Hey, that was so disrespectful.
I didn't see you. Casino was blocking you with the shoulders.
But you knew she was there.
Really? That's how y'all gonna do me?
No, she did that.
Exactly. My name is Tina Torres, and I am with She Did That Events, LLC, here in Columbia, South Carolina. I do events, weddings, fundraising events. I also am a community activist, and I'm a motivational speaker. So I pretty much do a lot of things, and I'm also part of the Why Not You Two team.
Word.
So if you see her face on Facebook, just know she did that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's it.
I'm Andre Delane. I'm a singer, songwriter, recording artist here in Columbia. Also lead worship at Victorious Believers Ministries.
Word.
So that's the outline of the cast that we have here on today, man. We have several different things that we're going to dig into, but the overall general topic of tonight's show is raising boys to men. But there's so many factors that we want to deal with now.
Now before we get into that, there is a big event coming up this Sunday, right?
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday. And we want to give Why Not You Two and Tina Torres a chance to tell us about the event coming up this Sunday. Oh, neither one of y'all
She had that look on her face like, can I?
Either one.
Yeah, this Sunday we are doing, and it's actually the second annual, but we did change the name because last year it was called School Days, and this year it's called the First Day Festival. Okay. And it's basically a back-to-school event at Spirit Communications Park, the home of the Columbia Fireflies. And it's going to be from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we're gonna give away book bags, school supplies. There'll be jumpy castles, and actually you're gonna hear it first. But last year, it was right after Fernando Castillo was killed. So we asked the police department to actually hand out the book bags so that the kids could have a positive interaction with the police. So this year, the cast of Live PD is going to be giving out the book bags at the back to school event, and we're going to get actual national coverage of the event because of that. So it's gonna be good. Last year, 2,500 people showed up. We're partnering with the mayor's office this year, Mayor Steve Benjamin, as well as a couple of other community organizations. And She Did That has been pretty much coordinating the event to make sure we have a successful event bigger than last year.
Word.
I want to ask the question because you said it and you kind of jumped over it. So you said you changed the name to the First Day Festival. Like, what sparked that, and what is the meaning behind First Day?
Just like the first day of school, a fresh start. A lot of the youth that attend this event are from disadvantaged communities. And we talk about the opportunity for them to their parents to save money on actually the back to school. But we actually do it at the Columbia Firefly Stadium because we're trying to change the bar. The stadium is just 5 minutes away from some of the toughest communities in South Carolina, and just for them to see that this is happening in my own backyard, this is can elevate their thinking, and that's the whole point of it.
Word. And you say you're gonna have the Live PD out there. Y'all gonna have boys coming from Oakland. I went to the Live PD event when they had here in Columbia. We had people drive from Virginia and Florida, and everybody came just to shake the Live PD cast hands. So y'all have Live PD out there, boy. There's about to be a bunch of people. Y'all need to come on out there. What that boy name? Macaroni? What the boy name is that everybody talk about? The little white dude. Don't stop me.
So if we could just mention that we really are still accepting assistance for school supplies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and there's a ton of us. There's T. There's Monique, Melissa. It's a bunch of us out there that are willing to meet you to pick up supplies. We are in need of supplies. Go into the book bags. So if anyone is wanting to donate supplies, please let us know. They can hit Why Not YouTube up on Facebook, Tina Torres on Facebook, T. Esmond on Facebook, Nikki Nicole on Facebook, Melissa Sewer. So if they would just hit one of us up on Facebook and let us know that they have school supplies, we would gladly meet them, or they could meet us somewhere. And so we could put those in the book bags. We're packing book bags this Saturday so that we can have them ready for Sunday. And we just look forward to seeing everyone out there. Like he said, last year we had a huge turnout. We're expecting that again this year, plus more.
How many book bags do y'all have so far?
We gave away 1,500 last year, so we've got 2,000 now. And we're trying to it's looking like we're gonna need more. We're still accepting registrations. We actually set up a website called firstdayfestival.com, where you can go and actually register your child to make sure that you get a book bag already held for you. And also you can register to be a vendor, or you can leave a message if you wanted to volunteer or find out more information. So
that's that website is firstdayfestival.com.
That's correct.
So make sure y'all I'm putting it in the
comments right now.
Make sure
and
y'all
we do
check
have
the
vendor
website.
spaces too available if anyone wants to be a vendor. And if they're a 501c3, they just need to show the paperwork to be accepted as a 501c3 on that day. But T is taking care of the vendors, and so therefore if you want to be a vendor at the event, please hit us up and let us know.
And if you
$25.
if they can't get in contact with you guys, you also can hit us up in Urban City Radio. We'll forward the message to Tina or Kamani, and make sure that they do get the information so that we can make this a successful event.
Yes, and the website is now located in the thread, so make sure y'all check that out. Make sure y'all check out the Why Not YouTube page. Make sure you check out Tina Torres to continue to follow up any updates concerning the event, and we look forward to everything that's happening this coming Sunday, man. We look forward to it making an impact not only in the community, but even nationwide as the coverage comes forth, that it shows that a community can come together and impact in a great way.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, because we started off there, so let's go ahead and dig in that atmosphere of it, because as we're talking about on today, we're talking about bringing boys to men, basically dealing with the idea of investing in our youth and our young men, making the right investments is what we kind of wanted to deal with on today. So one of the things that we talked about is, because of the back to school event that you're having, making the investment in their education is an important factor that sometimes gets overlooked. something as simple as throwing a back to school badge. Like you said, a lot of people don't think that makes a proper investment, but just the method in which you're using to do it. Like you said, you're not just trying to give them supplies, but you're trying to change their viewpoint of the society that they're in.
Absolutely.
How they view cops. So all of these things are factors in changing their, I guess, mentality about what it's like getting ready to go back to school. So I want to ask the question to, I guess, anybody who's willing to dissect it. How important is it for us to focus on the education as when it talks about our youth, and how has that impacted you? You know, growing up, do you feel like there's something more that somebody could have did that would have, you know, changed your viewpoint on education?
Well, I would say I'll start off definitely, because I don't believe when I was coming up there wasn't any back to school bashes, or if there was, I never knew anything about it. You know, my mom's always had to go out and get all the school supplies. You know, had to make sure the clothes and everything was good. So for me, that wasn't something that I knew about. So, you know, and it's like, why? To me, it's a great thing to have, and how does it affect the community? What's the turnaround in the community? I would kind of rebuttal the question.
Yeah. And I actually think that, you know, a lot of people sometimes say, well, the people will go out and they'll take advantage of it and they really don't need it. But the truth of the matter is, if two people come out, one don't need it and the other one does, you still accomplished your goal. You know how people will take advantage of anything that you do. But we're trying to help these families, and a lot of them really can't afford it. Yeah. And most of them are too prideful to ask somebody for help. Yeah. So this is a way for them to come out, actually have fun, enjoy it. We're going to have health screenings, haircuts, vision exams. So it's a way they can get a lot of the things that they need without having to actually come to somebody and ask for it. And they pride and feeling like their pride is hurt because I'm in need, and they can come out and get that. And I think that's a positive thing regardless of how you look at it.
I think for me, I know personally growing up, especially by having children young, you know, having a back to school badge was something that worked out for me in my favor. You know, being able to, especially when you're having twins, having to buy two of everything. You know, that's a whole nother factor within itself. But being able to say, you know, having to get to a point where you feel like I'm taking care of this, that I had to get. We had taken care of all these things, bought this, that. And then when you deal with that, and then now, you know, you like, oh, I got school supplies, I got this I got to take care of, and it's like, what do I do? Because I spend all my finances, all my resources on clothes, all my resources on, you know, textbooks, but I didn't spend it. So it's like just that alone helps in the mentality of a parent, knowing that I can take them somewhere, and like you said, I not have to deal with the reality of I'm doing this because I lack the resources. You know,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not addressing that face to face. You know, I know that inwardly, but there's nobody dealing with me in that way, or, you know, throwing that back in my face. So for a lot of people that come from low poverty housing or low income housing or whatever the case may be, I think for them, things like this give them an encouragement, because it gives them a way to deal with what it is they struggle with without having to feel embarrassed about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What made you want to invest back into the kids? I mean, like, I know that sounds like a bad thing, but not everybody want to invest in the kids these days.
Yeah, and I can honestly say I grew up in the Bronx, and I've taken advantage of my community before. You know, I sold drugs, did time, federal prison, and you know, I don't want to see that. I felt like I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I believe that if these kids understand that there's options out here for them, that it's not basketball and drugs is not the only way to get out of the neighborhood or the situation you're in. That if somebody take the time and go back into these communities and pour into them what their real options are, what their true options are, that, you know, that it'll open their mind and allow them to see something different. And I feel like that's my responsibility. I feel like everything that I've been through has put me in the position to carry out this mission that God put forward in my life. You know, I feel like a lot of times the youth don't want to hear from you if you don't have a stripe. If you can't show them that I've been a soldier, I've been in the field before, they won't listen. So I believe that everything I've been through is just to give me that ability to be able to talk to the people that other people can't reach.
Danny, as somebody who works with the youth so often, like he said, the kids won't listen if they don't feel like you have that stripe. Do you think the kids are actually listening to just anybody, or how do we get their attention to listen?
I do think that stripe do help, because I believe it's what I call poverty pride that a lot of people have. So if you do have that stripe, in their mind mentally, it levels the playing field and say, okay, he's not better than me. You know, he came from the same thing I came from. I just left DJ like 20 minutes ago. And when I talk about gangs and all that stuff, a lot of them didn't say anything, but afterwards they were like, man, you see you dealt with gangs? You know, so for them in their mind, it was like, okay, he is in the church, but he's speaking gang language. So, you know, that do help a lot, and that gives you an outlet and a platform, you know, for kids to come up to you, and you're able to pour into them too as well, and show them, you know, that whatever the people is showing you on the television, they're an exception to the rule. You know, if you do what they do, you're not gonna get the same outlet. You know, so that's what I think, and it is a good way.
And I think, because I kind of experienced it something similar, man. I did mentoring through DJJ, and having that experience, I think one thing that I learned is, you know, being able to show them a part of you that relates to who they are kind of destroys the gap. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all it is. But you can think about what they propagate in media, is they propagate something that destroys the gap, that makes them feel like that pipe dream is reachable. Because what you're talking about relates to where I am. So it just seems like I can follow you and get to where you've gotten. And then when they see somebody else that has a different level of success, but they can't see the gap of how I get from where I am to where you are. So being able to say, I've come from where you are, they're like, okay, that destroys the gap. Now I just need to know the middle. You know?
And that's the main thing, the exposure. You know, because if you think in their environment, all they're seeing is the dope boys. They're the ones with the money. My mom can't afford Jordans, but the dope man, he got a new pair of Jordans. They might be fake, but he got on Jordans though. So, you know, I don't see a doctor going and get this. I can't physically touch a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. So, you know, it is, you know, going to take us to go back and really show them, like, okay, yeah, this what happened. You know, I did pay attention in school, you know, because education is important. It might not be useful, but it's better for me to get it and then disperse it versus not having it at all and trying to get it back on the end. So,
and that's something that I thought would be good for us to deal with, because when you look at it like that, I was having a conversation with a guy today, and he was like, I asked him, I said, man, you still in the hood? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, man, I moved out the hood probably about 10 years ago. He's like, what, 10 years ago? I was like, yeah. He was like, what you doing now? I was like, I just bought a house. And that was like so far-fetched from him. So he was like, you know, well, what did you do to buy a house? And I was walking through the steps, and he was like, man, that's kind of a lengthy process. And I'm like, bro, what you trying to do with what you? I mean, you know,
been in the hood for 10 years.
But it, you know what I'm saying? It got me to thinking. It was like, but that's the hood mindset, though. That's what we see in the hood: double up, bubble up. You know, quick come up. So it's like everything when you raise in the hood, that's the mindset. You know, next thing is the next thing. You know, I got to get it real quick. Even when you think about when crisis comes, it's not about what's the 5-year plan to get out of debt. It's about what's the next bubble up, what's the next opportunity.
What's the next come up,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you think about education, it's not just, you know, knowledge, but it's also wisdom. What do we teach our children that tells them what's the proper way to deal with the crisis at hand? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's I think all of this is good, man. When you think about what you're doing with Live PD, you know what I'm saying? That's a step in the right direction, because now they're getting a proper experience, because I didn't get that when I grew up in the hood. You know, I grew up in gangs. Nobody walked me to a pub. I met one good cop my whole life. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the cops try to lock me up. Some of them try to plant stuff on me. You know, that's reality. So it's like, you know, you taking time to show them that there are cops out here that care about you. That lets them know, okay, I don't need to react a certain way every time I see them. And so now that changes the norm.
And something about that positive interaction takes the defense away. You know, immediately when you get stopped, you're on the defensive. Wow, what you stopping me for? Just because I'm black? Or, you know, and you automatically get defensive. But if you grow up having positive interactions, and I've been on both sides of an interaction and still had a positive experience. When they was locking me up, you know what I mean? They was like, man, Mr. Davis, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we, you know, but if you have that positive interaction, you're not so defensive when they come against you. And my thing is, you know, people say, well, why are you promoting the police and this, that, and the other? Because my young brothers is getting killed. And if they don't learn how to have the proper interaction with a police officer, they may end up dead one day.
Their life is on the line.
You know? So you got, I mean, so it's a lesson that we all need to learn. I mean, and I'm for education, But I also believe in self-education. I believe that there's a lot of stuff that the school curriculum just can't teach a young black brother. You know, the system is not designed to teach like my brother teaches financial literacy to kids. Like you don't learn that in school. And you go up and you grow up with instant gratification. You need everything fast.
Yeah.
You don't understand anything about saving, building, investing, and then you get out into a world and there's no more parent to protect you.
Right.
There's no more guidance counselor to guide you.
Yeah.
And you just out here going for what you know.
And another thing I have noticed is a lot of people, especially growing up in the hood, we shy away from education because we feel like we're not good enough for it.
Yeah.
We don't feel like I'm smart enough for it, I'm good enough for it, I got this to do that. Go ahead, Dan.
And we don't want to make our homeboys feel bad neither if we know more than them.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is too. I think that's more of it. That if I know all my multiplications and you don't, when I say what's 2 times 2, you're gonna be like, you know you're gonna get that frown. So it's like, I play dumb and make like I don't know. Because my homeboy's gonna clown on me. I'm being a smart guy. I'm being a nerd. So it's not looked at as being good.
Yeah. And you think about it in society, the smart kid is always called nerd,
ostracized,
and it's like that does something to the psyche.
Right.
That does something to your the mental capacity of that child. Who wants to be the child nobody plays with?
Yeah.
Because you're too educated. Who wants to be the child that everybody picks at because you know more than what they know? Yeah. And they're jealous of it, and they really need your help. Right. But because they're children and the way they're raised, they don't know how to express their emotion, so it comes out in picking, and it puts you in a place that you don't know how to respond. But then you think about that's where the proper type of parental education comes in. Now, before we jump into that topic, we have something here on the show. Chris, you just dropped a song called "Good Enough," right? Yeah. Now, tell everybody, because this got something to do with what we're talking about right now. Tell everybody what's the thing behind the song "Good Enough."
Oh man, the thing behind "Good Enough" is just really just an experience I had with my pops, my biological father, because growing up I never had, like, my pops never gave me affirmation. I didn't get a chance to talk to him like that. I was chasing this man for years and he wanted nothing to do with me. I would call his phone, and then when I finally reached him, he'll sit on the phone and won't say nothing. Then he'll change his phone number, man. It was just a lot of me chasing him because I needed a man in my life. I needed some guidance. I needed some direction, but God made me realize that I was chasing him, but he was really chasing me, and I was rejecting him the whole time. And it's just really that, man. I just really needed some affirmation, but I was getting it from God, but I ain't even want it.
Yeah, because you was too busy looking for it from a certain place.
Yeah.
And I want to, and I'm glad you said that, because I think it's very important. 2 words that really need to be learned and understood in our community. One is affirmation, and the other is edification.
Yeah.
You have to learn to give positive affirmation to especially your young black males.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you have to edify them. We live in a world where everything negative you ever do, they'll bring it up 10 years down the line, and everything negative is highlighted. Yeah. We never edify somebody for the small accomplishments that they make. Yeah. And if you ever want to make a strong positive influence in your child or the kids in your community, you've got to edify them. You've got to give that affirmation and make them feel good when they do something positive. People don't change habits by being told what they do wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They change habits because they see, wow, this is the way I feel, or the way people talk to me when I do something good. Yeah. And that's how you get good out of it.
And it's the little things, man. Like if you, like, the one thing that I do with my sons, man, I know they misbehave sometimes, but if they can go one day and don't do it, I'm like, man, you did that, man. That's one day, man. We got to keep going, you know what I'm saying? Because they be like, dang, Dad gave me affirmation after one day. Yeah. And it pushes them to keep moving forward.
And I think it changes the mindset of the culture. You know what I'm saying? I think so much is based on, we have a wrong view of what success really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we make success this overnight, like you said, this overnight thing. And one thing that you said is building, investing. All those things take time.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate the small steps. We only celebrate people that do this big jump.
Yeah.
But if you don't celebrate the small steps, then you'll never know what it is to truly have success.
That's it. That's it. And it's funny because, I think back to, and I can talk about this because me and my father's relationship is a lot better than what it was, but I think about growing up as a child, that's something that I didn't feel like I had. Right. I tell people a lot of times, I felt like I had the absence of a father, even though my father was in the home. because a lot of times, you know, what I got was what I was doing wrong, and a lot of fussing and a lot of talk down, and that was his way of expressing what he felt and how. That's, you know, I know now in my maturity that he was being the best father that he could be based on his ability. But you know, that still doesn't change the fact of what it did to me as a child, and what I still deal with to this day. I don't handle rejection well. The reason why I don't offer to do a lot, because all I've met when I met with my father was rejection. So you think about what that does to trap a child's, you know, mental capacity. Even when they grow up and they mature, it kind of keeps them from really developing into what you see them becoming, because you always denied what they did, but you never affirmed what they are. You can see it, but you denied their actions, but you never affirmed what you saw inside of them. You see what I'm saying? So it's key for us to make sure that even when I talk, you know, even when I deal with my children, I had to learn. You know, my sons, they do something, I get mad, I get angry. I'm just like my father. I get angry. I'm like, why you do that? You're doing something so wrong. Then I think about it. It's in there, you love me? Like, no, I love it. I love it. Like, I think that. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? But you can't just always talk about what's wrong with the person and never make them feel like there's something that they do right.
Because I think that makes them always know what they're not supposed to do, but they don't know what they are supposed to do. And so that lets them know what they're not supposed to be, but then they don't know who they are, who they're supposed to be. You know?
And I think that's where the church has gone wrong too as well. That's all kids see church as a do and a don't list, because the parents, everything is don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Boy, don't talk in church. Boy, don't chew gum. Boy, don't. So it's like, man, okay, let me go see what I'm about to go do, you know? And most of the time it's in the hands of the wrong people. That, again, the small things, you know, even though you did it wrong, it was something small that you did wrong. Oh, you stole? And even get caught. So it's like, damn, okay, if I steal again, you know, if I steal something bigger, you know, so
that's something funny though. It's funny how we can get affirmed for our wrongdoings in the world, but we can't find affirmation in the church.
For the right things.
For the right things. Because they look at it as something that's what you're supposed to do. So we forget to affirm the right actions, but the world is affirming all the wrong things continuously. They perfected that. The world is perfect at affirming your children for every wrong action that they make. But for some reason, we feel like there's no reason for me to celebrate everything that you do right. Then we wonder why half of society, majority of the children, always go out making wrong decisions. Because there's so many people that's in their ear telling them not just the fact to do it, but once it's done, all they hear is
and then it's a stereotype of, you know, both of us in the home, you know, he has a mother and a child, you know, mother and a dad at home, and it's like, but y'all never did anything. You gave me what you didn't have, and that's not what I needed. And I remember a guy told, I was watching a story, this guy said, he said, children learn from the time they're born to the time they're 4 on their own. But then we put them in school and put a teacher in front of them. Now the teacher got to tell them how to learn. And it's like, it's backwards. So then, and I think that's what parents mess up at most of the time. Instead of learning and watching their children and see the way that they should go, train up a child. A train is on a track.
Well, I mean, I think that goes from the lack of masculinity in the church. I mean, and we can say, we might have men in the church. Oh no, go ahead, drink what? But we got men in the church, but we're not telling the men how to be masculine in the church. They have to be, they have to tone down their masculinity to be affirmed in the church a lot of times. The pastor is the one that gets the most affirmation, and then he beats the men down.
But then you gotta look at it like this, Jay. In the hood, the man isn't in the home, so you have to the church. I understand from the church standpoint, but from the home standpoint, if you don't have a man in the home to teach a little boy to become a man, then when he gets to that point to like, okay, I want to listen to somebody else or see someone as a father figure, and then they beat him down, it's like, okay, well, this dude over here on the block was like, well, hey, we family. I got you. Let's go jump this dude real quick.
Let me show you the ropes. Let me teach you how to do what I'm doing. Everything that a young boy is looking for, especially if he never had a father, a role model.
But at the same time, everybody's got to remember one thing, that as a person, our God-given purpose is to be connected to something.
Yes.
And to serve, your talents are supposed to combine with the talents of others in order to bring out the most in you. Yeah. Right. And if we don't find something positive for them to connect to, they're going to connect to something regardless, because it's in your heart to be connected. And I don't mean to go, and we're talking about systematic. We're talking Willie Lynch letter, and if you haven't read it, if you need to read it so you can understand that the removal of the father from the home is the biggest part of the process. To take the masculinity away from the man and to give the mother the role as the head of the household is part of the process, and it's breaking up the families. And we got to understand what's happening to us in order to be able to change it.
Yeah. And then I think a lot of people don't even realize, because this is a Christian-based show, so I can say this on this stunt, but a lot of people don't even realize when you think about family is a God instituted. It's one of the first things God instituted. So if you're talking about an enemy, more powerful enemy than even racism itself, what's the first thing it would attack? The very first thing God instituted. So you have to look at it from it fits both realms of the spectrum. It fits in both realms of the spectrum. Family is being attacked from a spiritual and a natural aspect. And so much of the church has forgotten about that. You don't see a lot of church programs about family. Yeah. You don't see a lot of church programs talking about keeping families together, restoring the family unit, building the family bond, restoring the father in his rightful place, building the bonds back. All of the things that are necessary and keep it. Because you think about it, we have a good time in church. We may shout, we may dance, we experience God, but then we go home to chaos. Yeah. Right. Where we spend the majority of our time. So all of that chaos is going to supersede the time that we spent in the presence of God, because whether you want to believe it or not, you're persuaded by repetition. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Bible says meditate on the word day and night, because you're persuaded by repetition. So if I'm repeatedly in the presence of chaos more than I'm in the presence of God, what do you think gonna win?
Okay. Yeah, and it's crazy because we're talking about men. Basically, men need to be investing in their kids, but we got to learn how to invest, because a lot of us ain't never really had that kind of investment.
Right. And I think men need to invest in each other as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest things that one of the best advice that I've received about dealing with other men is how, somebody told me that you got to have these three men in your life, like a Paul, a Timothy, and a Barnabas. How, you got to have someone smarter than you, someone on your level, and someone you can teach. Yeah. And I think a lot of men don't have that kind of relationship with each other.
Yeah. Because first of all, a lot of people are scared to. I'm about to say, let me cut you. A lot of people are scared to be in a relationship with somebody, especially if they're not a father figure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I see you as a peer and you're smarter than me, I'm intimidated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a private thing that a lot of men deal with, especially if you've never had that role where you can. If you've never had a father, you never known what it feels like to be comfortable in the role in the room with somebody who knows more than you, but is not trying to outsmart you, outdo you, outshine you. You see what I'm saying? So you don't know. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna wait till you finish. And I want to say, because we haven't anything dealing with our mental mind, we haven't been taught how to do, especially as a black man. Yeah. If we not anything with our hands physically, push it, pull it, grab it, throw it, slap it, punch it, we good.
Yeah.
But when it's time to be a visionary, to really sit and think about something, how to really talk to somebody, communicate. We haven't been taught that. That's why, they have a study that is connected to people that has a lack of vocabulary in their behavior.
Yeah.
That when, I seen it with a kid, she hollered. And I'm like, what is wrong? My sister won't say it. I said, well, instead of hollering, why not say it? She said, well, she don't listen to me. So now she just hollered because she know that's going to get somebody's attention. And that's what we do. We act out because we haven't been taught that, how to really articulate and say, yo, I really need you to help me, man. I see you got a good marriage going on. How do I do this? We haven't been taught that.
But that's because we've been taught to fix everything and not actually learn.
Right.
Like,
no practical application.
Every man feels like, I'm a fixer, I gotta do. But the problem is, with always fixing, if you ain't never learned how to fix something, you about to break more than you fix. Like, you about to break up a bunch of stuff in the house.
You really not break, you're gonna waste. Like, I have that problem now. Like, my wife is pregnant. And
congratulations.
Yeah. And I took the task, instead of helping the community and hiring a painter, Which what I should have did. I went and say, nah, I can do it. Being prideful, like, yo, I got it. It's number 4 walls, yo. I got it. Just putting paint on there.
Yeah.
I done went through 2 paint sprays, 4 paint brushes. I got 2 in the sink still now, and it's like you wasted time and money being prideful.
But you know what? One thing I learned, I forgot who said it, man. I wish I knew who said it because I want to give him credit for it. But they were talking about the psychology of a man, and they were talking about that it is a natural instinct of a man to not really go for the instructions first. Yeah, it's just in our instincts to just try to figure it out with our hands. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just black men. That's a man thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a man's thing. You know, other cultures are better at it because they're taught different. But the natural instinct is, let me just get in, figure it out the best way I can. And and when you look at our lives, that's a lot of what we do in life. Even when I came into ministry, you know, there were a lot of people who taught me a lot of things, but I did a lot of stuff on my own, just trying to figure it out by myself. And a lot of mistakes get made that way. But I think when you understand the psychology of a man, you tend to have a little bit more leniency on the fact, because my wife does a great job of understanding the fact that I make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I do stuff all the time. I put together the bunk beds at the house and I put the instructions down, so now the top part kind of swing because it. But I mean, you know, it's still safe.
The kids still sleeping.
I ain't sleeping in that one.
But I sometimes often wonder though, when we talk about us not our instinctual ability or the inability to open the manual and read. And sometimes I wonder, you know, 400 years and not being able to get your head cut off if you read a book.
That's true.
And, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that the number one thing that all self-made millionaires have in common is they're all readers.
Absolutely.
And we've got to get past that, because the information that we need to get to the level that we need to be on is in a book. And now you got audio books, so somebody that will talk the book to you. You know?
Right. I think we're always taught to work hard. But if you can work hard at something you don't know and still not be successful.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You got to know what you're doing.
A guy asked me a question. He said, I know you like working a lot. He said, but ask me this. What would you rather have? He said, would you rather get 1% from 100 people or get 100% from something you do by yourself? And I was like,
blew you away.
Right. You know, but you know, that's what it is. And that's where, you know, wealthy people, they really make money.
Yeah.
Right.
They make, because the money, they don't have to do anything to get it. It's generating on its own, and they're able to do all this other stuff.
Now, I will ask this. As young men, before we got to the point where we start mentoring or fathering young boys, were we told this information?
Most of the time, no. And when we did hear it, it was from somebody who was of an age that they said it in a way that they challenged you. Yeah. So you automatically got defensive, so it didn't matter whether it was good information or not. You was never going to listen to it. You young bucks is all always out here doing something stupid. And then so after that, you follow it with, you need to learn financial literacy. Yeah. And I didn't even hear that. You called me a young buck, and if you wasn't old, I'd knock the cane out your head and beat you down. You know, like, so everybody, we also never learn how to open up with love, how to speak with love, how to teach after you open up with love. And I think a lot of times you talk about being in DJJ, and it warms my heart that so many of the brothers here go into DJJ, but these kids are hurting. You know, they feel let down by their families, they feel let down by their community, and you're not gonna challenge them into change. You're not gonna come to them and say, see what you've been doing your whole life, it got you here. I don't care what you say after that. You could give me the lottery numbers for next week. But I gotta defend myself now, because you challenged me in my mind, as a man.
Right.
And we struggle with opening up with love. My father didn't tell me he loved me until I was 32.
Wow. Wow.
You know? It's
respect.
I can say the same thing from a different aspect. My father, like I told you about my relationship with my father, what was a turning point for us. I think I was about 22, 23, somewhere. I was in my 20s. He sat me down and told me why. You know, the real reason why. he treated me the way he treated me, and it was basically because the day I was his mom had basically said that she couldn't die until she saw me. The day that she saw me was the same day she died.
Oh wow!
Like literally right after she gave me back to them, she got in the car and that's how she died. So it was like right after. So he blamed me for his mom's death.
Wow!
And it's like he finally set me down like 20-something odd years later and was just like crying full of tears and apologizing because he's like, every time I saw you, I hated you.
Wow!
And it's like, you know, this is real life issues that people have to deal with in the home, and you know they go home and have to deal with this. And then you don't know what they're dealing with in school.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went to a school where I was a straight A student, and my mom was telling the principal, she's like, yeah, my son's a straight A student, da-da-da-da. And the principal of the school looked my mom in the face, looked me in my face, was like, ain't no guarantee he's going to be a straight A student here.
Ooh.
I'm like, what? like you already expecting me to fail and you don't even know me.
Right.
I ain't got no history, no record, my records say that I passed grades. Mm-hmm. My records say I got honor rolls. But because of the record of the people in your school,
you done already shot me down.
You done already shot me down, bro. I stepped on campus.
Dude, I'm on the board of this group called Koinonia in Columbia, and they're based out of Eau Claire Baptist off of North Main. And this past summer, they had a summer camp with just a bunch of kids. Like, I think we had 80 kids come in, and they did summer. They educated and taught Bible studies, all these things. But the one thing I noticed about these kids, a lot of them came from single parent homes. A lot of people said, okay, it's nice what you're doing now, but I know you ain't gonna stay around. Like they already had preconceived. I'm used to people leaving me after treating me nice for a little while. You ain't gonna stay around. And I think that's one thing we have in the African American community and young boys in general is we're used to being treated well for a little while, and then they disappear, and we're let down. How do we deal with that? How do we help these young men deal with that as men? Like AC was saying earlier, that's why he still struggled with rejection.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that and teach them, look, sometimes you're going to be rejected, sometimes you're going to be let down?
I think first we have to learn consistency in our own life.
Yeah.
Right. That's good.
And that's one thing, again, that we're not taught. That's a lot of attributes I think that were given to women a lot, we lack. The virtue, the value, the consistency, the purity, we lack as men, so we can't pass it down. So, you know, I can't give you what I don't have.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm only give it to you for a little while, and then I'm gonna dip and go back and get it, and then come back and give it to you, so I can look good, and that's where it do fall at, you know, because we can't build a stable foundation. It's only temporary. So now we got all these foundations all over the place because we don't know how to stand on one.
And I can only speak for what's been my experience. I had the honor of having a pastor in my life who actually taught me about how God and how Jesus works through other people.
Yeah.
So when I see someone reach out to me to assist, knowing that person is somebody I need in that chapter or that season of my life, it takes away that feeling of he came and he left. It starts to become, well, God provided when I needed, and now I need to walk alone, and then somebody else will come along when I need it, and so it becomes an extension of what God's doing for you, not for what that individual is doing for you. So you don't have that same connection, that attachment that when that person leaves, you feel hurt, you feel burnt because you see it more as, okay, I needed it and God provided.
Yeah, it's basically like the dad that walks out. They always, it's like if your dad already walked out on you, I'm consistently seeing a father figure walk out on me.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we got to figure out how to heal and nurture into our young men, that some people are here only for a while.
Yeah.
And I think we get so used to being compared to other people that we start comparing ourselves to other people, and we lose our identity or who we are. You know what I'm saying? I think we have to stop. Like I said, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, how we view success.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's we have to understand who we are and base our success on how well am I fulfilling who I'm supposed to be, not who all these other people are. You know, they dealt with rejection, so now I have to deal with it this way or deal with that. No, who am I supposed to be? And I want to operate in that vein.
Yeah, and it's overcoming that because just thinking about it in that aspect. If you grow up in the type of environment where everybody succumb to being on the block. You know what I'm saying? Right. Every father figure you saw, every male role in your family was somebody that was on the block. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So then you're like, okay, why would I want to be anything else? This is what everybody in the family does. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, and that's the other part about it, man, because it's funny. Because like I said, I grew up in the hood, I grew up on the block, and I had family members that was on the block, and my father's relationship was iffy. But one thing he always told me was, you ain't going to be like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? That was one thing that he drilled in me. Like, that ain't you. He made sure I was in school. He made sure I hit them books. You know what I mean? I didn't like it. I didn't love it because he didn't make me enjoy it. But he drilled that in me. So there was always something in me that was saying there's something more than this here. Right. So it's like, but I had to get used to being that person that wasn't around everybody else. And that is something like that. That's what we're talking about. Like, how do you get people prepared to be isolated when you have a desire to be connected, like even in your situation, like you was talking about. That's why I like that song. When we talk about good enough, you talking about how you chase your father because there was a void that was there, and God was dealing with you about how he's like, you're chasing him to fill the void, and I'm trying to fill that void because I'm reaching for you. Like, he's not even concerned, and you're chasing him, but I'm sitting here like, yo. Like explain that. Like, what was that like when you finally realized it? Like, how did that change your life?
What's crazy is I told myself that I forgive him. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I ain't worrying about it. I forgive my pops. But in my mind, the only reason I forgave him because I felt like I would never have to see him again. You know what I'm saying? We forgive people we feel like we don't have to deal with. But then when I started coming to Word of God, and I met a guy, we were just conversing, and he was telling me where he from. I was like, yeah, that's what's up. I know some people that way. He was like, who you know? We started calling out names, and I was like, a guy named blah, blah, blah. He was like, yeah. He was like, what's his last name? And I told him, he was like, hey, that's my mom's boyfriend, man. He stayed at the house with us, you know what I'm saying? And he was telling me about how the relationship he had with my pops and how funny he is, and I never experienced it. And then I got mad, then I realized I never forgiven him, man. And then, man, I just had to deal with that, man. But we have a bad habit of chasing people who don't want anything to do with us. But the people who love us the most, we always hurt.
Yeah, that's true. Because I even as a, I even think that, I don't know why this is taking me there, but I even think about, when it comes to me in ministry, you know what I'm saying? Ministry can be very draining in any aspect, mentoring, fathering, pastoring, serving, armor bearing, whatever. And but if you got a desire to serve, you're gonna always, return to it. You're never gonna, turn it down. But then I think about how drained I am when I come home. Mm-hmm. And then, you know what I'm saying, I'm not that same person to my wife sometimes. I'm not always coming home like, okay, wife, what do you need? How can I serve you? How can I? And it's like, when you talk about, we always chasing the people that hurt us, but we don't really take time for the ones that really love us. My wife deals with me regardless of whether I serve her or not. And so it's like, I need to be able to, the same way I chase these people in ministry, the same way I'm showing up at these churches, the same way I do all of this stuff, I need to make sure that when I get home that I'm that type of man for my wife, whether it's in husband form, whether it's in mentor form, because sometimes she needs mentoring, guidance, whatever she needs her husband to be. And, I don't know why that took me there, but when you said that, man, that just kind of touched me in that way. Like, I need to check myself on that. Right. Like, as a man, because I'm so quick, to want to be a help to society, but society starts at home.
Yeah, man, that goes back to the affirmation thing, man, because we go out here and minister to these people, you know what I'm saying? But our wives need ministry at the house, man, you know what I'm saying? You can go out and tell these people about Jesus, but I'm sitting here, you know what I'm saying, dying, and you can't even speak life into me. So that's one thing that God is dealing with me too, man, because he's calling me out more, and I'm going out different places, and I'm away from the house a lot. So my family needs me more, that I'm gone a lot, man, and I just have to learn to balance.
Yeah. And I want to ask this question for everybody that's here. So, like, we talked about fathers, the lack of, or the relationship of, right? How has that impacted, I'm assuming, I know Chris has children, I see him. But those of us that have children, I know,
Danny got one on the way.
You at least got one on the way. Like, how does that,
I have said that myself.
Whatever, Jay. But how does that impact, how we handle, our children? How does what we've experienced versus what we now learn and know, how does that impact how we handle our children?
And I can speak from experience because I've been there. My dad, like I said, was not an emotional person, was not affectionate, and we didn't really learn affection in the home. So I have a daughter who's 16 years old who got to witness me in that phase of my life where I just didn't know any better. I didn't know about affection. I didn't know about, hugging her and showing her in positive affirmation and giving her what she needed. And she grew up void of it. I traveled the road a lot. I did construction, so I was always gone. And I came home, and in my mind, I was doing good. But my daughter now holds resentment because of all the time she missed. And now she's got her little sister who's 6 years old, was able to witness me after the transformation. Now that I've learned about affection, and now that I've learned, how to edify my child, and she's watching her 6-year-old sister get things that she didn't have. And it's not because I don't want to give it to her, because she's so hurt now she can't accept it. But she hurts worse because she's watching me do it. And that's what Chris was saying. To hear that you getting it done, to see the same person who you couldn't get it from doing it with somebody else. It creates a gap in that. So I'm actually going through that right now, and I would give anything to be able to give my 16-year-old what the 6-year-old got. But it's sometimes also it takes a person who does have that connection to explain that to a child. Your dad learned different. Your dad saw different. We've got to help him to grow in that part of his life. And I just, it's tough because people don't realize how much your own experience impact the way that you behave. And if you don't realize that a person's experiences are impacting the way he's conducting himself, and a lot of times a lot of good people will get lost because it's just a disconnect.
My story is kind of like Chris. Like, my dad wasn't there, and I had been chasing my dad this whole time. Matter of fact, last year I just found my 3 brothers and their wives, and all of them live here in Columbia. Now, we haven't even we haven't talked yet. We ain't seen each other face to face yet. That's the crazy thing. Like, I found out about them through Facebook, and I was going through Facebook. Somehow I ran across some pictures, and I'm like, hold on, that's my dad. And I see all 3 of his sons and their wives, and I was like, their dad is their hero, and I have to look at it and be like, but this the dude that left me in poverty while he lived in a mansion. So, and it's crazy because learning how to forgive, like you were talking about, made me realize how much my son actually needed me. Like, I had to take time and be like, I wasn't there for my dad. So sometimes I'm overbearing on my son. It's kind of that trying to learn the balance between choking him and loving him at the same. It's like I'm about to choke you while I hug you. Like, but because of that, I have moments where I just have to get alone and recenter myself and say, I'm not him. And I can't let what he did to me affect what I'm going to do later on. And I think that's one of the hardest things I've had to learn as a father.
I think, man, when we because we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to give Chris time to shout out his single. I think when we sum it up, man, it's imperative that we do 3 things: that we invest in the education of our children, that we invest in them emotionally, and that we also teach them to invest in themselves financially. If we can do these 3 aspects in our community, we see a difference in what we've now come to accept as the norm, and we'll start making an actual gradual change toward the difference. You can't expect it to be an instant gratification change, but it is a process, and if we actually make a plan and stick to it, we can actually see the difference. So now with the time that's left on the show, I want Chris, go ahead and tell everybody where they can pick the single with the actual day that it drops, but definitely encourage them to pre-order it.
Go get the single now, pre-order iTunes and Amazon for right now, but it's going everywhere August 4th, man. I need you to go get it. Good Enough, Chris Darnell featuring Andre Delane. I need you to go get it. I promise this is one you want to have on you, man. Andre, you want to say something, man?
And look, it was just an honor being a part of this project, man. Look, you are going to be blessed by this music, man. Chris is amazing, man. Amazing lyricist, man. This message will speak to you. It'll speak to every brother, every young brother, old, young, everybody. So please go out there, grab the single, pre-order it August 4th.
Definitely.
Friday. That's Friday is August 4th.
Yeah, Friday.
Go pre-order it today get it on Friday.
Yeah.
And then after you get that, bump that on the way to Why Not You Too event this Sunday. Spirit Communication, right?
Absolutely.
Yo, you gonna have live PD? I saw somebody say Masteroni. That's the dude's name. Masteroni.
Mastriani.
I be calling dude like pepperoni. Macaroni. I been calling him a couple names. I saw the brother. Well, he's a brother, but he ain't a brother. But but I was like, yo, they said macaroni? And he like short too. Yeah, so it's like he a short macaroni looking dude.
Definitely go to the website, which is firstdayfestival.com. That you can hit them up if you're looking to be a vendor, volunteer opportunities, also donations. So definitely check out the website if you're looking to be a part of that great event, man. Look, man, we've had a great show. I thank everybody for being a part. Chris, Danny, Kamani, Andre Delane, all of y'all, man. This has been a great show. We thank all of our Facebook Live audience for tuning in, for your comments, man. I appreciate y'all. We already got somebody saying they're going to get the single.
Word.
That's it.
That's right.
It works. No, man. But, yeah, man, this is a great show. Urban City Radio, where we bring the sound of boots on the ground. Boot up.
Boot up. Also, continue the conversation off air, man. We need fathers and men in the community investing into our children, especially our young boys.
Yeah.
If they want to,
you back.
If they want to volunteer, can they volunteer this Sunday?
Absolutely.
They can go to the website to volunteer.
Yeah, you can go to the website and just send an email through to volunteer. We also need volunteers for Saturday, because we got to pack 2,000 backpacks.
That's important. Say that. That's kind of important. So we need volunteers this Saturday, so hit them up on the website. We need volunteers this Saturday. I repeat, we need volunteers this Saturday. So if you're looking to be a part of the community and not just draw, but actually invest, make sure you check out that website, get in contact with Tina Torres, get in contact with Kamani, get in contact with all of the people that we named earlier. Check out the website. We need you to contact them to be a part.
This is Urban City Radio, where we bring you the sounds of boots on the ground. Boot up. Cause it's good. Yep, that's how I'm gonna end the show.
No, it's not.
Facebook Live, man, we love you. We enjoy you every week. Yo, thank you for being faithful with us, man. We just got over 1,400 views tonight.
Yeah,
1,400 views watching tonight. So thank you for being faithful. Continue the conversation off air.
Continue to share. Continue to let us know what else you want us to deal with, man, or what you thought about some of the things we shared.
MANI.